Okay, welcome back to the channel, MegaWhale team, and for the new viewers, welcome to the channel. If you have any questions about what we're talking about today, chuck a comment down below. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get stuck into it. So today's video is going to be a technical analysis of Wanchain. Now, the last video for Wanchain we did was the 29th of January, so a little bit over 4 weeks ago, and the video title was Wanchain Possible Bottom. And I'll bring it up on the screen for a second. You can see this is our video we did on the 29th of January. We set possible bottom at this trend line here. And we have that same trend line on our chart now, which was this point here at 29th of January. From then, we saw a very significant 120% pump. We're going to discuss today why we saw that move, what led up to the move, and what we expect to happen next. We're going to focus a little bit more on the shorter term for Wanchain rather than taking a bigger picture look at where we think it's going to head in the long term. The reason being is because Bitcoin is in quite a volatile position right now. We're not entirely sure right now whether Bitcoin is going to go into a move upwards here and continue to new highs, or drop below that major support at 35 and continue to new lows. So we're kind of in that middle zone right now. We're definitely in a downtrend, definitely bearish, but there's no point talking about these extreme bullish scenarios. We'll talk about that short-term predictions so you guys can get a little bit more understanding of what to do on that short term. So first and foremost, one of the main reasons why we bounced was obviously we retested this line. We can see we had a lot of support throughout the entirety of the chart basically on Wanchain. And if we notice a key point on this chart, which was this line here, I'll draw an arrow to it. This zone here was our trigger zone for our breakout. Now, as soon as we broke that trend line there and we had that trigger, we shot up about 700% to $2.61. And obviously we came all the way back down, retested that same trend line in July, bounced, shot up about 200%, came all the way back down, retested that same trend line again, bounced again, and then finally retested that same trend line again and bounced. So guys, this trend line here is probably the bottom for Wanchain, and I've said many times, if we lose this level, it's not going to be easy to say where we're going to head. If we lose that level, we could definitely head back down, to a 20-cent region. Obviously, that will be ultimate pain for Wanchain. If we lose that trend line, 20 cents is definitely a target, and that's where we would expect the price to absolutely bottom out if we go into a full-blown bear market, all the way down to about $20,000 from here. Let's move on. Let's move on to some more positive stuff though. Let's take a look at the chart. We're going to go onto the daily for Wanchain. And again, we have that circle zone here. What we can do is we can get rid of this trend line here. And another reason why we broke out so explosively was if we take a look at this trend line. This trend line was a downsending trend line for the Wanchain chart all the way back from the 12th of April 2021. All right, guys, we broke out of a trend line which was spanning April, May, June, 9 months maybe, a long time, guys. We broke out and we went explosive. Obviously, the reason why we broke out is a little bit different. We didn't really break out based on any news. We broke out based on a Telegram channel of 250,000 followers shilling Wanchain. And I've said it before, it doesn't really matter what causes the breakout. If the zone is broken, the price will continue in that direction. I like to think of it as if you threw like a rock or something in space, the rock will continue at that same velocity until it reaches an object that can reverse that direction of that momentum or stop it in its track. And if you think about resistances and support, it's kind of a similar concept. When you break past a major resistance, you generally continue upwards until you reach a major resistance. So it's kind of what we've seen on Wanchain here. We broke that major downward resistance. We shot upwards. What resistance did we meet? Well, we met up with, let's take a look if it will work. No, all right, Control Z doesn't work. We actually met up with this strong resistance over here. Now we can draw this strong resistance back here, and we can know it's a resistance because we've had multiple data points and tests to confirm that. So we've had this point here, we've had a retest support here, and obviously 2 rejections on these wicks here. So there's no coincidence that we went up to this point here, which was 80 cents. Of course, the 80-cent zone is a horizontal resistance as well. If we draw a horizontal line here, we can see we have a horizontal resistance at that 80-cent zone. Many times has proven to be a support and resistance zone. So that's kind of why Wanchain moved up. I know a lot of you guys were asking me, why did Wanchain move up? What happened? There's the answer. You know, we can explain it through technical analysis. That's kind of what happened. Let's take a look at that shorter term time frame and try to figure out what's happening on the chart, so we can figure out, you know, what to do next. Okay, so I haven't looked at this chart yet in a lot of detail, so we're going to go through it together. And what we can see is we can kind of see these two formations kind of similar. This descending price that kind of smooths out at the bottom, reaches some support, has a divergence, and pushes upwards. You can't really put a trend line on these ones. It's harder because they do converge. They are converging. With this one here, we can see we do have a little bit of a trend here. Almost could get away with saying this is a descending channel, either a descending channel or a descending wedge. I would say more likely leaning towards that descending channel. We do have a very strong support zone here, sitting between 40 cents and 43 cents. We did see on the previous occasion, we came back into that support range, retested it, found a lot of support in there, and pushed right through that next resistance block, sitting at 50 to 55.5 cents. What I would expect to see if Wanchain do over here is one of two things. I would expect either a replication of what we saw, but to a greater extent, moving up to about 70 cents, or a push downwards to retest in this support zone first before we consolidate and potentially move back upwards. So it is looking optimistic for Wanchain. I don't know if now's the best time to buy. I'll be waiting for a confirmation. The confirmation would be a breakout of this channel here. Very, very easy. Go to your chart, input this channel. When you see a breakout of this channel, you can put your entry point just in at that channel break, and you can put a stop loss underneath this support range. Obviously quite a high risk trade with 11% gap, so don't invest a lot of money. You definitely don't want to be putting too much money on a trade that's got 11% risk, so be cautious of that, of course. If we take a look at Bitcoin, it's kind of hard to tell right now if Bitcoin's going to go up. Of course, altcoins do heavily rely on Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin crashes, altcoins kind of bleed off a lot. And we've seen Bitcoin kind of break out of this descending, broadening wedge. Obviously, the CPI numbers came and absolutely scam pumped the coin. We pumped, we crashed, we pushed back over. We did get rejected from that descending trend line again. I'll go to that daily chart so you can see that descending channel trend line is this one here. We got rejected from that. We're pushing back below, and we're coming back into that broadening wedge. It'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin actually retests on this broadening wedge here and bounces or just crashes back down. Of course, if Bitcoin does crash back down, we can expect Wanchain to go back into this major support block right over here, guys. So keep an eye on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin drops, Wanchain will drop. If Bitcoin moves up, Wanchain will definitely move into this zone here. I would say it would break through that zone, reclaim the 70, the 60 cent range. So guys, I try to keep it nice and short and sharp. If you have any questions, remember, leave them down below. So far we've covered a few things. We've talked about the short-term price direction. We've talked about the macro chart analysis. We've talked about why the price has moved, and what actually happened on a technical standpoint to allow that price to pump. What we're going to do next before we wrap up the video, and like I said, if you've got any questions so far, leave them down below, is we're just going to do a quick analysis with some indicators to kind of figure out where we're going to be going, and we're going to take our trend lines off besides this major trend line. And what we'll also do is we will add our major descending trend line onto the chart as well. We'll pop both these trend lines in here, perfect, and now we can bring up some indicators. So for first and foremost, we'll start with our Ichimoku cloud. And for you guys who know me, I love Ichimoku cloud. It's one of my favorite indicators to use. It's an incredible indicator for predicting momentum and overall market movements. For entry points, not as great, but for momentum and confirmation of trends, it is one of the best in my opinion if you know how to use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly change that lagging span to a thicker, blacker line rather than a green line. Stands out a little bit more in my opinion. What we are seeing here on Wanchain is we're seeing rejection from the clouds. Of course, the clouds is a no trade zone. So if you were in this range here and you were buying Wanchain in this pump, you were trading incorrectly according to the Ichimoku clouds. You want to buy only when the lagging span, so this black line, actually I might change it. let's go orange. The lagging span is over the clouds and the price is over the clouds and the conversion line. So let's take a look at the 12 hours. We can see a little bit more what's happening. Wanchain is coming down and retesting that cloud. Really nice to see. Again, Wanchain is in a descending channel, and that support block is quite just a small amount lower than we are right now. If we take a look, that support block is only 3% lower, and that would put it right in the clouds. So we've got a nice strong support block within these clouds. We are retesting the clouds now. I would like to see a break over 50 cents to confirm the trend and confirm the move. Of course, that would bring that lagging span up over the clouds, confirming the uptrend, price over the conversion line, and retesting that cloud. Nice entry point, nice entry point. Along with that, would have that break of the descending channel, which would basically confirm that uptrend starting or continuing. So let's take a look at some more indicators. Let's bring up our MACD and our RSI. Let's go MACD and RSI, perfect. Now the MACD and RSI on the 12-hour chart, not looking too great, but what we'll do, we're going to start to the 1 hour, 1 day chart to start with. Again, not looking too great, converging downwards. If we go to a 4-day chart, we might see some upwards, so we've got that momentum continuing upwards. We don't really have a higher high here, which isn't great to see. And of course, on the 7-day, it looked like we were converging, but we're slowly dropping back down. I would say Wanchain urgently needs to get above 50 cents. For this chart to start looking healthy again. So guys, I'm getting really tired. I'm going to call it there. If you've got any questions, leave them down below, and I'll catch you in the next video.